My name is Mrs. Sanders and I deliver the GCSE music course. This video presentation will take you through the changes to the GCSE course for this academic year and the support in place to ensure all our learners reach their full potential. Here is a summary of adaptations made to the GCSE music course for this year. For Unit 1 performing, the time requirement is reduced from 4 minutes to 3 minutes. One or more pieces can be used to make up the 3 minutes, but please note that rest and accompaniment breaks don't count in the time. Ensemble performance is optional to allow for social distancing, and the programme note is still required. For Unit 2 composing, only one composition. Using the set briefs will be optional, and they have removed the need to write the evaluation. For Unit 3, the appraising, there are no changes to this unit of work. The 4 areas of study that links all 3 units together remain unchanged. Musical forms and devices from the Baroque period to the Romantic period. Music for ensemble, which includes chamber music, musical theatre and jazz. Film music and pop music. One of the performances must link to one of the areas of study, but they've removed the need to link the composition. All the questions in the appraising exam link to the areas of study. 2 questions linked to each. Unit 1 is the performance NEA and is worth 35% of their overall mark. It is split into 30% performance and 5% programme note. Recording dates will be set based on individual learners' progress to date, as we are aware that some of them have not had any instrumental tuition since the start of lockdown. The recording window opens the 1st of October and will close on Friday the 12th of March. All learners must submit a draft of final recording no later than the 16th of November as evidence of their progress. The programme note is 500 to 1,000 words and is based on one of the pieces they have chosen to perform. This must link to one of the areas of study. The first draft is due in by the 30th of November and the finished version due by Friday the 5th of February. Learners are marked in the following 3 areas based on the evidence in their final performance or performances: accuracy, technical control, expression and interpretation. Marks are also scaled based on the standard of the piece. So standard is classed as grade 3 and this mark would not be adjusted. If easier than standard, which is below grade 3, the mark is scaled down with the maximum mark available being 64 to 72. If more difficult than grade 3, the mark is scaled up. So for example, a mark of 66 out of 72 would still achieve full marks. We will work with learners to choose the best standard of piece for them in order for them to achieve the best possible mark. The full mark scheme and the scaling sheets are available in the GCSE music classroom. A new time penalty sheet is due to be released with WJC in the coming months, and this will also be added to the Google Classroom. So this slide outlines how learners can best meet their potential in Unit 1. So practice, practice, practice. Establishing a regular practice routine is essential. Choose pieces as soon as possible before October half term. Don't forget you must have a written copy of a piece. A PDF must go to the moderator. Perform and record at every opportunity. Listen back and ask other people for feedback. Assess your own performance using the criteria. You can find this in the Google Classroom. And check that you have at least 3 minutes of performance. For the programme note, use the writing frame provided in the Google Classroom and pay attention to the headings. It's easy to complete the task in Word or Google Docs than handwriting the same task several times. On a paper copy of a piece, make notes on how the elements of music are used and complete a small section every week. Don't leave it to the last minute. Information on the elements of music is in the Google Classroom, as well as examples of programme notes. This is how we are supporting learners for Unit 1. We have a team of visiting staff providing one-to-one lessons for Year 11 vocalists, string, woodwind and brass players, guitarists and drummers. They are due to start as soon as the county gives the go-ahead to their risk assessment. Performances can be assessed and verbal feedback given up to 3 times before the final recording. Copies of the music can be turned into PDFs in school and copies made so they can be drawn on for the programme note task. You can have more than one attempt at recording your piece, but the final recording must be the one submitted for marking. If you're performing more than one piece, these do not have to be recorded on the same day. And the draft of the programme note will be given general verbal feedback in class. Moving on to Unit 2, the composition. This is also worth 35%. The entire unit mark will now be based on this one composition, but learners will have until the 19th of March to complete their work. They need to set a provisional brief by October the 9th. They can choose to write their own brief, choose briefs set by the exam board this year or from previous years, and these can be found in the Google Classroom. The initial ideas are crucial to go on to achieve top marks, and therefore in order to make sure learners are on the path to success, these will need to be in place by the 13th of November. Learners also have to keep a log of the composing process. This is not marked, it's needed as supported evidence, and a log template will be provided for this. Learners are marked in the following 3 areas for composition: creativity and development of musical ideas, technical control of musical elements and resources, and structure and stylistic coherence. The mark scheme is in 4 bands and also asks if ideas are highly effective, generally effective, simple, or limited. It also asks if there are any aspects of the completed work that sound inconsistent. A new mark scheme is currently being put together by the exam board as due to be published next month. The criteria is unlikely to change, only the way the final mark is calculated to accommodate the marks that would have been allocated to the evaluation. In order to reach their full potential, learners must present their work in a particular way. So each composition must be submitted as an audio file with a score or a lead sheet. If learners have composed using notation software, then you can simply export the software as a PDF. If learners have used a DAW, then convert the recording into a score, or otherwise make a document of screenshots with annotations to show what is going on in the music. If learners have composed using an instrument, then they need to write a lead sheet and a description of the piece. Support is permitted on the technical side of putting the score or lead sheet together, printing it, checking the score, etc. If anyone else has performed anything within the piece, learners must explain how the performer knew exactly what to play. You can't get marks for anything anyone else has done for you, including myself. To support pupils with composition, the following has been put in place. Time has been set aside during lessons to allow learners to complete most of this work in school. All learners have access to 2 online programs which they can use in class and at home, Noteflight and Soundtrap. Links to the login pages in the Stream section of the Google Classroom, and all pupils have their usernames and passwords. Some learners prefer to work on their ideas at home, and this is also fine as they can work on their praising work and program note in school. Some learners will need to work on their composition at home, particularly if they have been absent or don't give 100% to completing the task in lessons. It is possible to use both programs without a MIDI keyboard, and Soundtrap can also be used to record audio, so you can plug instruments into the microphone socket of your computer, laptop, iPad or phone. Unit 3 is the appraising exam. It is worth 30% of the mark, and there's no change to this unit of work. The exam is in June 2021. Below is a breakdown of how the exam paper is put together. So Question Your Music exam will be testing your knowledge in the 3 areas: elements of music, context and language. One question in the exam will require a longer response, and this could be in any area of study but will not be based on a set work. One question will require you to notate the pitch or rhythm of a short part of the music. In order to meet the potential in Unit 3, learners need to listen to a wide variety of music and focus on how the elements of music are used. The MAD T-shirt sheet in the Google Classroom is particularly good. They can complete all the lessons and tests available in Focus on Sound. These are similar to the style of questions asked in the final exam. Pupils have a login and username for Focus on Sound. Use the revision resources in the Google Classroom. Study the set pieces carefully. Complete all past paper questions given to you, and make the most of mock exams to practice exam technique. To support learners for Unit 3, a section of each lesson has been set aside to concentrate on the elements of music vocabulary. All learners have a login to an online program called Focus on Sound, and this has all the revision material that learners need for the appraising paper. Tasks are set in the Google Classroom using Focus on Sound. All work covered in class is put in the Google Classroom, as well as videos based around the elements of music. Revision mats for both set works and the elements of music are also available in the Google Classroom. If a learner feels the revision guide or a study book better suits the learning style, then I would recommend the following books by Jan Richards. Both are available online. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me in school via email.